I hope you are able to see the screen. Yes, students?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The last class we stopped at the numerical, and the numerical is like this. A line charge of 2 nanocoulomb per meter lies along y-axis, while surface charge densities of 0.1 and 0.1 minus 0.1 nanocoulomb per meter square exist on the plane z equal to 3 and z equal to minus 4 meter respectively. Find the electric field intensity at a point 1, 7, minus 2. There are three cases here. So for the case 1, we have evaluated for the infinite long charge lying along the y-axis. Okay, at the point 1, 7, minus 2, and we have found out the value as E1 is equal to 1.19 AX bar minus 14.38 AZ bar volt per meter. Case 2, it is a surface charge, and rho S1, the surface charge density is 0.1 nanocoulomb per meter square along z equal to 3. Normal direction is z equal to 3, that is an is equal to minus az bar towards the side where p is located. Therefore this value we are getting E2 is equal to minus 5.6471 az bar volt per meter. Then case 3, we stopped at case 3. I hope everybody have solved it. What is the answer that you are getting for the case 3? Rho S2. Rho S2 value, how much you are getting, students? I had given for homework. Rho S2. What is the value? Is it same as E2 or is it different from E2? Yes. Is it same as E2 or is it different from E2?
Sir, same, sir.
Same as E2. What about the polarity?
Minus, sir.
Sign of minus you'll get. Okay, let us see.
Minus.
Yes, let us check. Fine. Normal direction to Z. Yes, you are right. Minus 5.6471 AZ bar volt per meter. It is same as that of E2, right? Normal direction to Z equal to minus 4 is AN is equal to plus AZ bar will get, because it is a side towards where P is located, and hence it will be AN is equal to plus AZ bar. Therefore, E3 formula is rho S2 AN bar by 2 epsilon naught. If we substitute the values of rho S2 epsilon naught, right, and AN bar as plus AZ bar, then we'll get E3 is equal to minus 5.6471 AZ bar volt per meter. Therefore, the total electric field intensity at the point P will be the summation of the electric field intensities due to case 1, case 2, and case 3. That is E1 plus E2 plus E3. Therefore, E bar will be equal to, if you add all these three, whatever you have got, E1, this equation, right, E1, right, and then E2, E2, and finally E3. If you add all these three, you will get the total electric field intensity at the point P. And that comes out to, just verify your answers, 7.19 AX bar minus 25.674 AZ bar volt per meter. Are you getting this answer, students? Everyone? Okay. Students, are you getting this answer? Yes. Have you all solved here? Everybody? Cross verify your answers. Have you all solved? Yes, please. Abhishek, Budhigop, have you solved? Abhishek, Sampath Kumar Oli, have you solved this numerical? Janvi, Kirti Patil, Kirti Patil, are you here, students?
Yes, sir. I solved.
You have solved. What is the final answer you are getting? Are you getting this answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine then. Then it is good. What about others?
So same answer, sir.
Same answer you're getting? Fine then. Okay,
Yes, sir.
nice. Okay, right. This is how you all have to solve when such numericals are asked in examination. Next, we will move on to applications of Gauss law. So before going to applications of Gauss law, we have to know what is a Gaussian surface. Right? The surface on which the Gauss law is applied is called as the Gaussian surface. The surface on which the Gauss law is applicable, over which the Gauss law is applicable, such a surface is called as the Gaussian surface. And the electric flux density is always normal to this Gaussian surface. Electric flux density d bar, it is always normal or perpendicular to this Gaussian surface. Okay. Then we have to know the certain limitations of Gauss law. Limitations of Gauss law are, that is, it can be applied only to the surface. There was some network problem, students. Okay. I was telling about the limitations of Gauss law. You are able to hear, right, students? You are able to hear here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The limitations of
Yes,
Gauss
sir.
law. Okay. Disadvantages or limitations of Gauss law are that Gauss law can be applied only to closed surfaces. The surface is open, we cannot apply the Gauss law. That's the point from which we derived the, that is from which we arrived at the Gauss law. Right. The other day, when we discussed about the definition and the statement of the Gauss law, we use the concept that we use the point that we are applying the Gauss law only to the closed surface, enclosed surfaces, not to the open surfaces. That is one point. And the Gauss law is applicable to symmetrical charge distributions, symmetrical surfaces or symmetrical charge distributions. Symmetrical means the flux density d bar is normal to the surface. The flux density d bar should be normal to the surface, or it should be normal to Gaussian surface. Only to such surfaces we can apply the Gauss law. So these are the limitations of the Gauss law, that we can apply the Gauss law only to the surfaces in which the electric flux density is normal to the Gaussian surface. Okay, that is to the symmetrical charge distributions. And then it may be either a point charge or line charge or surface charge or volume charge, but the surface the surface should be an enclosed surface. Only to such surfaces we can apply the Gauss law. Okay, these are few of the points related to the Gaussian surfaces and the limitations of the Gauss law. Fine. Next is applications of Gauss law to the point charge. Applications of Gauss law to the Any difficulty, students?
Sir, screen is not visible.
Screen is not visible. Okay, 1 minute. Something went wrong. Let me check 1 minute. Just a minute. I'm checking.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes, please, Harshvardhan.
Sir, please mark my attendance, sir. I had joined the 10 minutes late, sir.
Okay, okay. I'll mark. Harshvardhan. I'll mark. Yes. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now it is visible, students. Students, is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, right. We'll be discussing applications of Gauss law. The first application of Gauss law is to the point charge. Right? That is, if the charge is existing in the form of a point charge, just it's a point charge. Line charge means it is on the complete line, a line of charges. Surface charge means it is lying on the surface. Okay. Then volume charge means it is lying in the volume. These are the various type of charge distributions. First, we will take up the point charge, and then we will discuss the proof of the Gauss law. Okay, we will discuss the proof of the Gauss law as related to that of the point charge. Okay, consider a point charge here. This is the point charge Q being placed. Okay, and surrounding this point charge, the Gaussian surface that we are considering is the sphere. Okay, we are considering the spherical surface. Let a point charge Q be located at the origin. If you want to find d bar, that is electric flux density, and if you want to apply the Gauss law, then we have to consider the spherical surface, because just now we discussed that for the Gaussian surface, the surface should be closed one. Correct. Therefore, as it is a point charge here, if you want to determine the flux density and apply the Gauss law, the surface that we are considering is a spherical surface. This spherical surface is Gaussian surface, and it satisfies the required condition. What is the required condition here? Gaussian surface condition is that the flux density should be normal to the surface. So that condition is satisfied by the spherical surface. What about the direction of d bar? The direction of d bar is perpendicular to this surface ds. It's a sphere. Okay, surrounding this point charge, there is a sphere, and we are considering part of that sphere, some portion of that sphere, that is ds. That is ds. Okay, some portion of the sphere that is considered, that is our ds. Okay, then normal to this area ds is d bar. Normal to this area ds is d bar. That is our flux density. Because it's a Gaussian surface, therefore the flux density will be normal to this area ds. What about the vector AR bar? So this AR bar vector, it is directed radially outward. Okay, this AR bar is nothing but the unit vector for the, that is which is along the direction of d bar. AR bar is a unit vector which is also along the direction of the d bar, because we know that the unit vector AR bar is perpendicular to the surface ds. Correct. Whenever we are considering any unit vector, it is always considered in perpendicular direction. Yes or no? 90-degree direction, and hence it is along the direction of d bar. Now this is our angle theta, which is the half angle, and this is the angle phi, the angle of the plane. Try to recollect the spherical coordinate system that we discussed in the earlier classes. The half plane, then the half angle, and the angle at which the plane is placed. Right? That is the angle phi. Right? Recollect those points. D bar is directed radially outward along AR bar, which is normal to the spherical surface at any point P on the surface. Consider a small surface with the area ds. Direction normal to the surface ds is AR bar, considering the spherical coordinate system. Normal to this ds is the unit vector AR bar. Unit vector AR bar. I hope you all are following here, students. Yes, students, you are following here.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. And the radius of the sphere is considered as r equal to a. R is the radius of the sphere. Here we are considering the radius of the sphere as r is equal to a. Radius is equal to a, right? Direction of d bar is along ar bar, which is normal to ds at any point p. That is the same point. The direction of d bar is along the same direction as that of the unit vector ar bar. In the spherical coordinate system, ds normal to radial direction ar bar. Okay, this just concentrate here. In spherical coordinate system, the ds normal to radial direction ar bar. That is the area ds normal to the radial direction ar bar. That is given by ds is equal to r square sine theta d theta d phi. This we have to go back to our spherical coordinate system. The spherical coordinate system, if you just go back and just turn your pages back, right, then the area ds, which is perpendicular to the direction ar bar, the area ds which is perpendicular to the unit vector ar bar is given by ds is equal to r square sine theta d theta d phi. ds is equal to r square sine theta d theta d phi. We are borrowing this equation from there. Okay, we are not again going to deal with that, because we already dealt there when we are discussing about the spherical coordinate system in detail. We are borrowing this equation from there. Just you have to take the equation from there. That is ds is equal to r square sine theta d theta d phi. How we got this equation? It is the area ds which is perpendicular to the radius or to the radial direction ar bar. That area is ds is equal to r square sine theta d theta d phi. Okay, this is further equal to r is equal to a. We have taken r is equal to a, radius is a. Substitute that a square sine theta d theta d phi, because r is equal to a. Therefore ds bar is equal to ds into an bar, because we know that whenever we are writing any vector, then it should be along the direction. We should also consider the direction. Therefore ds bar is equal to ds into an bar. Okay, this is the magnitude ds, and an bar is the unit vector. That is it indicates the direction here. That is further equal to ds is a square sine theta d theta d phi. Write it, a square sine theta d theta d phi. An is ar bar, because the direction of the vector for the ds, the direction of the unit vector for the ds d bar, okay, and a bar, they are in the same direction, and hence an bar is considered as ar bar. If you look into the direction of d bar, it is normal to the surface ds. That is unit vector is an bar, and it is along the same direction as d bar and also as the same direction as that of ar bar. Hence an bar is considered as equal to ar bar. Here we are writing ds bar is equal to ds an bar, that is a square sine theta d theta d phi. An bar is equal to ar bar. Write it, take it as equation 1. Now d bar due to point charge is given by d bar due to point charge. It is given by this equation. D bar is equal to q by 4 pi r square ar bar. Okay, the electric flux density due to point charge is given by the equation d bar is equal to q by 4 pi r square ar bar. Okay, now this is q by 4 pi, r is a. R we have taken r equal to a. Substitute that q by 4 pi a square ar bar, because r is equal to a. Take it as second equation, equation number 2. Okay, I hope you all followed till here, these points, these steps. Any difficulty up till here? Students, any difficulty up till here?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, okay, right. Now we want to evaluate d bar dot ds bar, the dot product. Okay, d bar dot ds bar, because we know the d bar dot ds bar is given by the product of magnitude of d bar into magnitude of ds bar into cosine of angle theta between the two. When we take the dot product of a dot b, how do we write? Magnitude of a into magnitude of b into cosine of angle theta between a and b. It's the same thing. that is d bar dot ds bar is equal to magnitude of d bar into magnitude of ds bar into cosine of theta dash. Here I am taking it as theta dash. What is theta dash, students? Theta dash is the angle between d bar and ds bar. Theta dash is the angle between d bar and ds bar. Okay, it is the angle. Can you tell me what may be the angle between d bar and ds bar? Yes, what may be the angle between d bar and ds bar? D bar is
0.
0, right? Because d bar in this direction, it is in this direction perpendicular to ds, and the direction of d bar ds is also in the same direction as that of d bar. So both are lying in the same direction. Ds is the direction of ds. We are taking it as that is an bar, which is perpendicular to ds, right? And the direction of d bar a bar is also same, and hence the angle between d bar and an bar, the unit vector of ds is 0 because they are parallel to each other. They are parallel to each other. They are lying in the same direction. D bar is given by q by 4 pi a square. The equation for flux density due to point charge is q by 4 pi r square, or q by 4 pi a square. Then ds bar, we are considering only the magnitude here. Ds bar is, what is ds bar? Ds bar, it is here a square sine theta d theta d phi. A square sine theta d theta d phi, and theta dash is 0 degrees because normal to ds bar is ar bar. Normal to ds bar is ar bar, while d bar is also acting along ar bar. We know that perpendicular to ds bar is the unit vector ar bar, and d bar also acts along the ar bar. Hence the angle between d bar and ds bar is 0 degrees. It is theta dash is 0 degrees. Then what will be the equation? D bar dot ds bar, d bar dot ds bar is equal to, in terms of vector form it is, so it is, sorry, it is in terms of magnitude. We have not considered the, okay, that is previous equation q by 4 pi a square, then a square sine theta d theta d phi. Okay, we are considering this equation. Okay, d bar dot ds bar is equal to magnitude of d into magnitude of ds bar into cosine of angle theta. Substitute whatever we have written here in this previous equation. We get q by 4 pi a square into this ds bar is a square sine theta d theta d phi, then cos theta dash. Theta dash is 0, that is cos 0. Cos 0 is how much? 1. Therefore, this will be equal to q by 4 pi, a square and a square will cancel, q by 4 pi sine theta d theta d phi. Take it as equation 3. Equation number 3. Okay. Therefore, d bar dot ds bar, if it write it in vector form now. Now I am writing in vector form. Previously, I just wrote the magnitude of d bar and ds bar. Now I am using the vectors of d bar and ds bar. Vector dr bar dot vector ds bar is equal to q by 4 pi a square, that is magnitude of d bar for the point charge into its unit vector ar bar dot, where we had written here, just see here, due to point charge d bar is given by q by 4 pi a square into its direction, that is ar bar. Okay, then ds bar in terms of unit vector is a square sine theta d theta d phi ar bar. Write them. Is ds bar is a square dot a square sine theta d theta d phi ar bar in terms of vectors. Then simplify. Q by 4 pi a square and a square will cancel here. Sine theta d theta d phi a bar dot ar bar. Ar bar dot ar bar. What is ar bar dot ar bar? Dot product of the unit vector with itself is how much?
Sir, AR square, sir.
1,
No,
sir.
1 it is.
1.
Dot product. When we are discussing about the dot product, cross product in earlier classes, right? There we have discussed that the unit vector dotted with itself, a unit vector dotted with itself, its magnitude will be 1, not square of that, remember. Okay, if you take the dot product of the unit vector with itself, that will give us 1, right? Q by 4 pi sine theta d theta d phi ar bar dot ar bar is 1. That is the equation. D bar dot ds bar is equal to q by 4 pi sine theta d theta d phi. Now if I want the flux, if I want the flux, equation of flux, what is the equation for flux? It is surface integral d bar dot ds bar. Correct. This is our Gauss law. That is flux phi is given by closed surface integral of d bar dot ds bar. Correct. We have taken up this equation from here. That is the Gauss law. Here it is. Flux psi is equal to closed surface integral d bar dot ds bar is equal to q. That is the charge enclosed. Okay. Now we are proving this equation. LHS is equal to RHS. That equation we are going to prove now. Psi is equal to closed surface integral d bar dot ds bar is equal to q. That is the charge enclosed. So what is the Gauss law here, students? Gauss law is total flux passing through the surface is equal to the total charge enclosed by the surface. Total flux passing through the surface is equal to the total charge enclosed by the surface. Okay, that is our Gauss law. Let us prove that here. Okay. Therefore, the LHS equation is the Gauss law equation. Closed surface integral d bar dot ds bar. Substitute whatever we have got here for d bar dot ds bar. It is surface integral means we have to take the double integral. Double integral phi is equal to, what is the range of phi? Phi ranges from 0 to 2 pi. This phi. Phi, the angle of the plane. Okay, the angle of the plane, half plane, it is ranging from 0 to 2 pi. What is the range of the half angle theta, students? Range of the half angle theta, how much it is? It varies from what to what? Half angle theta. Yes. Try to recollect what we discussed in the spherical coordinate system. Half angle theta varies from what angle to what angle? Yes, please. 0 to? Yes, 0 to? How much?
Sir, 90.
0 to 180, half angle. One full complete revolution is 360 degrees. Half of that, it will be 180. 0 to pi or 0 to 180 degrees. Is it not? Therefore, pi varies from 0 to 2 pi and theta varies from 0 to pi. Q by 4 pi sine theta d phi. That is q by 4 pi. Integral of sine theta is minus cos theta over the limits 0 to pi. Then integral of d phi with respect to pi is phi over the limits 0 to 2 pi. Simplify this. Q by 4 pi minus of minus 1 minus of cos 180. Cos 180 is minus 1. Then minus of cos 0. Cos 0 is minus of this, minus will come in. So minus of minus cos 0 is 1. Then 2 pi minus 0 is 2 pi. Then if we simplify this, q by 4 pi minus 1 into minus 1 is plus 1. Minus 1 into minus 1 is plus 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 into 2 is 4 pi. 4 pi and 4 pi will cancel and we get psi is equal to q, which is nothing but our Gauss law. We have proved that LHS is equal to RHS. What is our LHS? Psi is equal to closed surface integral of the electric flux density with respect to the surface is equal to the charge enclosed. Right? Thus, we have proved the Gauss law here considering the point charge. What does this indicate? This proves the Gauss law that q coulomb of flux crosses the surface if q coulomb of charge is enclosed by that surface. If the surface is enclosing q coulomb of charge, then q coulomb of flux will pass the surface, will pass the closed surface. Okay, this is the proof of the Gauss law considering the point charge. Okay, this may be asked in examination to prove the Gauss law considering the point charge. Then you have to consider the application of the Gauss law, right? As this as one of the application of the Gauss law, and then you have to prove it, right? All these steps you all have to write down, and finally prove that psi is equal to surface integral d bar dot ds bar is equal to q. Okay, it is equal to q here, right? So is it understood, students? Here any difficulty here? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What
Yes,
about
sir.
other students? Everyone followed here? Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Next is infinite line using the Gauss law, and we are proving that the equation is same as that we derived using the Coulomb's law. Okay, for the Gaussian surface, considering the Gaussian surface and the Gauss law, we are deriving the equation for the electric flux density or for the electric field intensity due to infinite line charge that we have already done earlier. Okay, and we are going to prove that whatever equation we are deriving now is same as the equation that we have already derived using the Coulomb's law. Okay, consider the infinite line charge placed along the z-axis. Infinite line charge is placed along the z-axis from minus infinity to plus infinity. The same as we studied during the infinite line charge derivation in our previous classes. It's your test question. Okay, infinite line charge is placed along the z-axis from minus infinity to plus infinity. The line charge density is rho L Coulomb per meter square. Okay, rho L Coulomb per meter square is the line charge density. Now, to find the electric field intensity or electric flux density, we are considering the Gaussian surface. The Gaussian surface which supports this infinite line charge is the cylindrical surface. It is the cylindrical surface. We are considering the cylinder which is enclosing the line charge. The cylinder is enclosing the line charge. Okay, the line charge is along the z-axis, which is along the axis of the cylinder, right? And the length of the cylinder is L. Length of the cylinder is L. The radius of the cylinder is R. The radius of the cylinder is R. Okay. This is our Gaussian surface, and we are considering a small portion on this Gaussian surface. We know that whenever we are considering the Gaussian surface, it should be closed. It should be a closed surface. That is one of its features. Okay, and then the electric flux density should be normal to the D should be, or D bar should be normal to the Gaussian surface. Keeping these 2 points in mind, let us move ahead. Consider infinite line charge of density rho L Coulomb per meter square. Sorry, rho L Coulomb per meter square. Yes, lying along Coulomb per meter. It is not Coulomb per meter square because it's a line charge. Sorry, rho L Coulomb per meter. It's a line charge along z-axis from minus infinity to plus infinity. Consider the Gaussian surface as the right circular cylinder with the axis as z-axis and radius r, and the length of the cylinder is L. Flux density at any point on the surface is directed radially outwards. Correct? The flux is directed radially outward, okay, along the surface of the cylinder. The flux will be along the surface of the cylinder, and it is directed radially outwards. From the center, it is directed radially outwards. That is the direction of the electric flux density. Flux density at any point on the surface is directed radially outwards. That is in the AR bar direction. That is in the AR bar direction here. AR bar is along the radial direction. Radial direction according to cylindrical coordinate system. Consider a small surface with the area ds is at a radial distance r from the line charge. The area ds we are considering, this area ds is at a distance r from the line charge. Direction normal to ds is AR bar. As I told, the direction which is normal to the area ds is AR bar. That is the unit vector. AR bar is the unit vector that is perpendicular to this surface ds or normal to surface ds. As line charge is along z-axis, there cannot be any component of d bar in the z-axis. This is an important point. The line charge is along the z-axis. We know that if the line charge is lying along the z-axis, so there will be no component of the electric flux density in the z direction because it's a mirror image. It's a mirror image between the positive z-axis and negative z-axis, and hence there will be no component of the electric flux density along the z direction. because whatever component of d bar is there along plus z direction, that will get cancelled out with the component of d bar in the minus z direction, and hence the component of d bar along z direction is neglected, or it is not considered while deriving the equation. That means the d bar has only the radial component, because the flux density d bar is directed radially outwards. Flux density is directed radially outwards. It has only the radius component or the radial component. Now Q can be written as surface integral closed d bar dot ds bar. This is our Gauss law. Q is closed surface integral d bar dot ds bar. This integration we have to evaluate for which all surfaces. We have to integrate for the top surface and bottom surface and for the side surface. This cylinder has top surface, bottom surface, and the side surface. Correct? You have to evaluate this integral for the top surface, for the bottom surface, and for the side surface. Fine. That is what we are writing the equation, students. Q is equal to closed surface integral for the side d bar dot ds bar plus closed surface integral for the top surface d bar dot ds bar plus closed surface integral for the bottom surface d bar dot ds bar. Okay. So next class will be continued by Viresh sir. I will be taking the class at 10:30. Okay, from 10:30 to 11:30 I will conduct the class. Okay, I'll take the class, and now class will be continued by Viresh sir. So please join his class now.